Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
The song that you are currently listening to is called Azimuth. It's the opening track from the debut album by Trace and Baerd, Elevation, which you can listen to wherever you get your music. To learn more about Trace and Baerd, be sure to head to their website at traceandbaerd.com. They'll be coming to perform at the Jamestown Mercantile very soon. Stay tuned for this episode of the Mountaineer Podcast to learn more about that performance. Hello there, everybody. My name is Jamie Lammers, and welcome to Music of the Mountains, Where to Be and What to See, brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. Before we get started, some preliminary announcements. If you haven't subscribed to the Mountaineer yet and you want to get news from peak to peak, then be sure to head to the mtnear.com and click on the subscribe button in the top right corner of our homepage. From there, you'll get full access to our digital archives and scanned copies of our physical newspapers, and you can choose to send a physical subscription to your mailbox or to the mailbox of someone that you love. If you're interested in being a part of the paper and or the podcast in any way, shape, or form, or getting advertising into the paper or podcast, then be sure to email our editor-in-chief, Barbara Hart, at info@themountaineer.com, or myself at me@themountaineer.com, and we'll get something sorted for you. And finally, before we jump right in, here's our top story today, brought to you by Brittany Wagner.
Our top story today comes from Mindy Leary. Families reel in fun at annual Gilpin Fishing Day. Dozens of kids and their families gathered at William C. Russell Park, just west of Central City, on June 22nd for Gilpin County's annual Family Fun Fishing Day. The celebration is one of the longest-running summer traditions hosted by Gilpin County Parks and Recreation. The participants were served free hot dogs, brats, chips, and drinks. Kids went home with goodie bags filled with Swedish fish, mini lures, bobbers, and even fake worms, while others took home wet shoes and wide grins. Gilpin Parks and Rec bought the license for the day's event so everyone could partake without the charge and hassle of obtaining licenses. You can read the full story in this week's Mountaineer or at themountaineer.com.
Thank you, Brittany, for bringing us our top story. Now let's get into today's interview. Our guests today, do you mind introducing yourselves real quick?
Can do.
Yeah, I'm Trace Hybertson.
And I'm Adam Baerd. Together that makes us Trace and Baerd. And what will we play, Trace?
I play fiddle, Adam plays guitar, and we play original Americeltic music.
Yeah, it's fun. All instrumental, all original. It's a good time.
And you guys are going to perform at the Jamestown Mercantile very soon. Are you excited to perform in the mountains? Have you been to the Jamestown Mercantile before?
That's right. That's very much right.
Yeah, we're incredibly excited to play it. I grew up in the mountains not too far from Jamestown, and I've loved going to shows there pretty much my whole life. We're really excited to be a part of that music and that legacy.
Yeah, it's been really fun to kind of dig in over the last year or two that we've been doing this and start to really get to play the venues that we've seen a lot of stuff at and we've seen other musicians get to do. And the fact that we've been getting to start to work our way through that list is very cool. And the Merc is obviously on there. So, yeah, we've really been enjoying it. It's going to be a part of a really cool summer.
So what are your musical backgrounds before this duo, and how did you guys come together as a duo in the first place?
Yeah, so I started playing violin, classical Suzuki violin, when I was 4. Quickly discovered the Colorado bluegrass scene because it let me stay up late at bluegrass festivals and jam, and kind of never put the fiddle down since. Been playing for 24 years and hopefully many, many, many more.
Yeah, I like that you swapped your violin out for a fiddle very quickly. Yeah, and I took classical guitar lessons when I was a kid. I took a little piano before that, and basically got into the American fingerstyle scene, watching Bundy and McKee and all those guys. I did that for a long time, and then have just since then, I've been in a cappella groups, I've been in rock bands, I play stuff on my own, I play with a whole bunch of different sorts of people. Do like the gypsy swing thing, I do the bluegrass thing, do some of the Irish trad things. Yeah, it's just been really fun to put all of that together in kind of every configuration possible and see the things that really jump out. And that's what Trace and I do, is something that really jumped out to me. Like, oh, this is the music I've always wanted to hear. This is really, really fun. Because we met at a party that was literally like an Enchanted Forest themed party in the mountains. There's a bunch of musicians there. And Trace and I started playing, and it was just like, oh, this is what I've been wanting to hear this whole time. Here you are. Great.
So you guys mentioned a bit ago that you mainly focus on original instrumental music. Is there a particular reason why you end up focusing on those original instrumentals?
Yeah, so pretty much without exception, everything we play is original instrumental music. And we both sing and we both play traditional tunes and covers, but when we're playing together, it's fun to play stuff that we've co-written, which we think brings a new element to our music and to the music scene at large.
Yeah, I mean, the trad stuff is really fun, but when it's just the two of you, like, we write really quickly. We probably write a song basically every time we rehearse, and that's really, really fun for us. It means we have a lot of material we can just pull from very spontaneously. And there's something really cool about instrumental music in that because there aren't words, if you get it right and if you title the piece properly, the emotion tends to come across more clearly. It's a little hard to explain, but at least that's how we tend to feel about it. And I think that really works. Like, you don't have to even speak our language in order to know what we're trying to say, because it's all just there in the music. And that's been very cool. I think that's the reason we've gotten radio play in like 14 different countries now, just because, oh, yeah, most of these places are Spanish-speaking, strangely, and apparently that's resonating, which is very cool.
So compared to writing a full song with lyrics, what's the writing process like for instrumental music, particularly as a duo?
So sometimes one of us will come to each other with a more fully formed idea of a tune. Sometimes it's just a vague, I want to write something that sounds like summer. And then regardless of whatever one of us has, we'll kind of come together and tinker around and just improvise over it and see what works, what doesn't work. And a new piece tends to coalesce fairly quickly when we do that, because we play well together and we are able to blend our ideas together quickly.
Yeah, we're very good at laying down track as we're riding on the train, which is very helpful. I mean, sometimes Trace will show up as I'm, like, I'll just have one of the instruments out and I'll be playing, and Trace will show up and be like, hey, quick, like, can you catch this thing? And then we'll just start messing with that, and then we'll have a song. The voice memos app is absolutely crucial for this process. And then what we'll do a lot of times, actually literally every show on stage, we will improvise songs, but the game for us is to not tell the audience that we're improvising. So at least once a show, usually much more than that, either Trace or I will just start talking about some backstory, and the other guy doesn't know anything about the song because the song doesn't exist, but we're trying to sell it as if it does. And then we'll just have to start. We'll make up a title and then just be like, and now here's this. And we just have to go.
And 4 minutes later, the song exists.
That's true, yeah. So that's writing about as fast as you can write. Say it's fun. We have a lot of tricks like that for just keeping ourselves making things.
And in general, do you find instrumental music easier to write than full songs with lyrics? Are there any pros and cons to writing either?
I don't know how you feel about this, Trace, but I definitely feel like music has always been easier to write than lyrics. And I was a professional writer for a while, and even still, I find music is very easy to just yes and just let it pour out of you, and lyrics take a long time, at least if you want them to be right. And so it's been sort of nice to just be able to let the music flow without feeling the need to attach a bunch of extra stuff to them. I've really, really enjoyed that process.
Yeah, I don't write many songs because lyrics are incredibly hard for me to write. I get bogged down in simple word choices, and should I take out this word, this instance of the word the, or there's so much minutia to get caught up in, and especially English being a very storied and tricky language to work with.
Yeah.
It's much harder for me to write lyrics than melody, and I find writing melody to be more true to what I want to put out in the world and the emotions I want to express.
I think you make a good point in that when you're writing music, at least for us when we're writing together, it feels very obvious what the right choice voice is. Once we find it, we'll do a thing like, hey, let's try this. And then we'll try and be like, oh, for sure, that's what we need to do. With lyrics, it's a lot easier to just hem-haw and second guess for, well, after the song's even recorded. But we don't have that instinct with music. It's just very obvious when it's right to us. And I guess we're just very lucky that we both tend to think that the right things are the right things.
And now, some promotional announcements brought to you by the Mountaineer.
Looking for a unique advertising opportunity? The Mountaineer podcast may be a perfect fit for you. Our podcast reaches local listeners at least 3 days each week. We can create your podcast commercial for you, or you can submit your own. Contact Amanda McDonald for additional information. Her email is adsales@themountaineer.com, and her cell is 720-960-2900. Have you checked out the Mountaineer YouTube lately? We are very excited to have a videographer intern this spring, as well as Clementine Miller, who's been working hard to record some of our local events and meetings to share with you. Go check it out on the Mountaineer YouTube. Have you seen our 2024 Peak to Peak Visitors Guide? We have just launched our 2025 Media Kit for the next guide. Go to our website and click on Advertise to see the full media kit there. Spring is springing, and we all know that means the flowers will be popping out all over the place, reminding us of beautiful art. That also means it's time to start thinking about the 2025 studio tour. Go to our website and click on special sections to view the 2024 guide and prepare yourself for this year's edition.
I want to transition now into your performances and releases as a duo. But before we transition into that, a quick break. Welcome back. Let's get back to the interview. So you guys have both performed in various groups outside of your current duo. Do you prefer playing solo or with a duo or with a larger lineup? Are there pros and cons to any number of lineups?
I think a duo is the perfect band size because playing by yourself can get lonely and frustrating.
Yeah.
Playing with a group of 5 people, I mean, the economic realities start to set in of that many more plane flights and car rentals and hotel rooms and all that. Also, the realities of trying to get 5 people together to rehearse. If you ever tried to get 5 musicians in the same place at the same time, it's like herding cats.
You try to get any adults to do anything at the same time, it's brutal.
So a duo is perfect. You're not by yourself and you're more bookable as a band. But it's a very flexible arrangement, and we can both get on a plane without too much trouble of cases full of drum sets and all this stuff.
And we've also been really intentional about the size of our gear. You know, what is the absolute minimum viable product we can take with us? And we've gotten that down to, we each have an instrument, or maybe I also bring the mandolin, and then there's a pedal board case, and that's kind of it. We can get on any plane, and that's very nice to just have that taken care of in your mind. Yeah, I play in bigger groups for sure, and I play on my own a lot too. And I like doing those things a lot for different reasons. Those are obviously really fun. But yeah, the flexibility of the duo, while I guess still having each other to lean on so you don't just get stuck on things, I think that's a really potent combination.
Then there's also the musical element.
Well, yeah, right. I guess
the benefit of playing in a musical duo is that once you add a third person, in my experience, I think there's always going to be more drama because in a duo, you're each bringing your full self and there's enough space for that.
Yeah.
In a trio or greater, you start to end up with competing factions and ideas.
That's true. Yeah. So this plays out nicely. It's nice that it's flexible. We've done all we can to keep that feeling like the situation as we do kind of more and more stuff. So yeah, it's been nice.
And what stuck out to you guys about being able to perform live together and share this music with an audience?
That's a great question. I've been really surprised at how much people like what we're doing. I don't know if you feel that way.
Yeah. I never thought there was such an interest in original kind of Americana Celtic instrumental music, but every single show we've played without fail, there's been at least one person that comes up and goes, "You guys are amazing. I've never heard anything like this before. You really made me feel."
Yeah.
And that's what I really like, is that our music has this level of authenticity to to it that people are able to resonate with. And I knew our music was authentic, but I didn't think people would resonate as well as they are.
Yeah. There was a dude that came up to me after that Arvada Center show we did, and he just said, like, you guys made me feel like I was home. And I was like, whoa, okay, awesome. That's how it feels for us, right? But it's cool to know that that's how it feels for other people, too. You feel a little bit crazy. I mean, sometimes we'll be 3 minutes into a 4-minute song where we haven't said anything, and we've introduced the title of the song. Okay, this song is about a grasshopper, I guess. And, you know, you're most of the way through it, and you will have these little come out the back of your head moments of just like, is what we're doing totally insane right now? We're just not saying anything and just playing these notes, and we're just sort of assuming that that's gonna land for the audience or whoever's listening. And then you get to the end of the song and the applause starts up, but it always sounds really genuine, and that's been great because this is what we want to be doing. We're just really glad that other people seem to also want us to do it.
What do you hope people will take away from your shows when they come to see you guys and your music when they listen to it?
So when we initially started talking about recording our debut album, both of us were searching for an album to sit and drink coffee to on the porch in the morning, and realized that while a lot of our favorite albums came close, what we were looking for didn't quite exist, and we said, oh, I guess we have to record it. And I think we pretty much hit that mark, and it's just creating a space in the music for the listener. Both of us can play way too many notes, way too fast.
Oh, for sure.
But trying to create something that's complex and engaging, but also approachable.
Yeah, really just making space for the listener, which is us too. I mean, again, I think Trace is right. We want to listen to this music, so we're just trying to do what we can to make that exist, basically. And it's really, really nice to get to see that that works for other people as well, because, I don't know, life is insane. I mean, life right now is particularly insane, but life is always kind of insane. Just being alive is, I think, the craziest thing anybody's ever done. And I think music has always been a way to help people either make sense of or just put it down for a while, just to sit in a tavern on a rainy day and just listen to somebody do something well. I think that there's always been a spot for that, and I just feel, I don't know, I feel like we're very lucky that we get to be a part of whatever that is.
And when you take out the lyrics, people can approach it more easily.
Right.
It feels more genuine.
Well, yeah, because you can put a song in the background, and we're fine with that. That's totally great. And if you want to sit down with your hi-fi speakers and blast us as loud as possible, you can also do that. And yeah, it's been fun to see how versatile it's ended up being for just literally two dudes with instruments that are like a couple 100 years old conceptually.
Adam will bring up the name of their debut album in just a bit here, but first, I wanted to ask you guys about the development and recording of that debut album. Can you guys talk a bit about that process?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was cool.
So we started playing together after this party where we met, and we kind of started writing some tunes, and it was fun, and then booked a gig or two and kept writing more tunes, and eventually one day we look at each other and go, we have enough tunes to record an album. That would be kind of cool. And we kind of started talking about what our dream album would be, from where we wanted to record it, production, sound engineer, et cetera, et cetera. And there's a lot of different choices. We have the equipment to try to record it in Adam's basement.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have ended up with us going with product. So we kind of started talking and figuring out what budget looked like, what timing looked like, and we got incredibly lucky, and I'm still not even quite sure how that happened, with getting to go down to Nashville to record at a legendary studio where the soundtrack to Oh Brother We're Up There was recorded, where Taylor Swift recorded her debut album, and so many more people.
The Sound Emporium down there, pretty cool place.
And we had a Grammy Award-winning sound engineer attached to that project to record us, Dave Cinco. And then we have one of our favorite musicians and fiddle player extraordinaire, Brittany Haas. We asked her if she would produce it for us, and she said yes. So last August, we all met up in the studio in Nashville and spent 3 incredible, exciting, grueling days laying down our album.
Yeah, and that, I mean, yeah, like you said, it was intense. It was pretty awesome. Definitely a life dream to do a Nashville album with that level of fidelity and that level of professionalism. And it was sweet to see it all kind of come together, because I think we did a very good job of just letting ourselves get excited about what we would want, instead of just being like, oh, well, this is what we can do. It's like, well, what would we want? Like, big picture, what would feel good to us? And then I think we just did a great job of not telling ourselves no along that process. Like, what if this person? What if this? And it actually, we were able to let that happen, which was a nice lesson that I think I'm trying to integrate into the rest of my life as well, because that worked.
It turns out when you ask for things, sometimes people say yes. I also need to give a huge thank you and shout out to everyone who supported our GoFundMe to help defray some of the costs of recording that album.
Yeah, I mean, that was scary. You know, it's scary to be like, hey, we want to do this thing on this really big scale. Is our community willing to help and support that so that we could do it at this level? And it was a resounding and quick yes. And that also felt really good, because it can just be really scary to ask for help. And I think we should ask for help. I think it's been going well. So yeah, so that was the process that let us get to make this in the way that we really wanted to make it. And to Trace's point earlier, because we're a duo, because we're agile, we were able to do this in that way because there's only two of us, right? If we were trying to record a 6-piece band, I mean, there's no way we'd ever leave Colorado for it. But because of this, we could do it this way. And so again, it's just guitar and fiddle, although there's mandolin on the album and Brittany did play on 2 of the tracks. But it's a very focused album. There's no overdubbing. We recorded everything together at the same time. No multi-track, none of that stuff, not even metronome really.
No click track, no nothing. What you hear is live.
Right.
We did not use tape because not many people use tape in this day and age, but if you'll pardon the expression, the album was essentially live to tape.
Yeah, which was a really cool way of getting to do it and getting to live in it. But because of all of that focus, I think it really came out in a really genuine way of like we were just able to capture everything that we can do. And we're still getting better. We've got really cool new songs that we're very excited to record, but this was definitely, for both of us, I think, just a big musical dream that we got to make happen. And people have been really, really nice about it too. So that's always nice when you spend a lot of time, effort, and money on something, and then people are like, thank you. Like, okay, cool, okay. We did it.
This album's getting played across the globe on radio, on Spotify, other streaming services, and it's been really cool to see that effect as well.
For sure. Also, my wife did the album art. Her name's Julia. She goes by the Design Source. She mostly does murals, but she does our stuff too because she loves us. And I do think it came out pretty darn nice. Makes me happy to look at. So we're trying to get vinyl made at some point because basically then just the art will be bigger, and I think that will be sad. So we'll get there.
And are there any other upcoming projects that you are currently recording or have ideas to record?
We have 2 album ideas in the works. We're currently trying to figure out some plans to maybe record something this fall.
Yeah.
Not sure when that would be out. And in the meantime, we're trying to tour this album and perform live and sell more copies and bring our music to more people.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we write really quickly, so we already have a lot of new stuff that we're really excited about. And it's been an interesting exercise in trying to remember that most people haven't heard this album yet and trying to play a bunch of shows, do the promo, do kind of the whole thing there to make sure that we pay off the time and effort we've already spent on Elevation, which is the name of the album, before we go and record Elevation 2 Electric Boogaloo.
That will not be the name.
I haven't cleared that with you yet, but I think that should really be the name. But yeah, it's been nice to remind ourselves like, okay, cool, this process takes place all at once. We're playing the songs we already have. We're playing the new songs. It's fun to see how those fit into the current set. And then, yeah, we're going to record a bunch of other stuff too. It's just part of the process, I guess.
And yeah, in general, is there anything else you want to add about Trace and Baerd or any other performances coming up?
We're really excited to have a bit of a front range mountain swing coming up this summer. We're playing Jamestown Merc on July 3rd. We're playing at Bluegrass Festival in Farmall Canyon on July 5th.
Yeah.
In August, we're playing Howling Wind up in Rollinsville. And on September 21st, we're playing the Gold Hill Inn up in Gold Hill. And as someone who grew up in those mountains and has been in Jamestown, Gold Hill, and Rollinsville more times than I can count, it's really, really fun to be playing the mountain venues, and they always have a special place in my heart.
Yeah, and it's also nice because both of us being from here, we know that the mountain venues tend to, I don't know how else to say this, they like good people, and they like good music, and they do kind of have an ear for what is like a strong folk tradition around here. So the fact that we are able to get in the door of those places, like that feels really cool. That feels like an acknowledgement that, hey, we're doing something right. We're doing something that feels genuine to this place that we are from and that we love. So that's been nice. Nice to feel welcome where you're from.
In that case, I think those are the big questions on my end. I really appreciate you both taking the time to do this interview.
Well, heck yeah. Well, I mean, big thanks to you and the Mountaineer. You know, y'all are part of that community for sure, making all this happen, making Front Range music be held up the way that it is. We appreciate the work you're doing over there.
Again, thank you so much to Trace and Adam for coming on board and joining us for the podcast. If you want to see Trace and Baerd performing original instrumental music, then be sure to check them out at the Jamestown Mercantile, located at 108 Main Street in Jamestown, on Thursday, July 3rd, 2025, starting at 7 p.m. Their debut album, Elevation, is available on all platforms now. And to learn more about the duo and find their music and social media platforms, head to their website at traceandbaerd.com. And if you can't make it to this next performance, be sure to keep an eye out for their next performances in the Peak to Peak area, Howlin' Wind Brewing and Blending in August, and the Gold Hill Inn in September. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to this week's Music of the Mountains, Where to Be and What to See, brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. I'll be back soon with another episode of the podcast. In the meantime, if you want to share this episode or others with whoever you see fit, then be sure to head to the mtnear.com and scroll near to the bottom, or head to our podcast's main hub at the mtnearpodcast.buzzsprout.com, and there you'll get a full archive of all of our episodes. Again, if you're interested in being involved in the paper or podcast in any way, shape, or form, or getting advertising into either or both, then be sure to email info@themountaineer.com or media@themountaineer.com, and we'll get something sorted for you. And finally, along with every important page of the Mountaineer, including our social media, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, our podcast hub, of course, and a brand new events form where you can submit events from your venue to promote on a calendar on our website. You can also find our most important web pages on the top right of our homepage. If you want to give us general or specific feedback about any issue of the paper or any episode of the podcast, then send us a text by heading to any individual episode description of the podcast. We'd love to hear from you. I'll see you guys next time for another episode of the Mountaineer Podcast. Have a great rest of your day. The song that you are currently listening to is called The Follies of Something. It's a track that features Brittany Haas from the Punch Brothers from the debut album by Trace and Baerd, Elevation. You can listen to Elevation wherever you get your music. And to learn more about Trace and Baerd as a duo, be sure to head to their website at traceandbaerd.com. They'll be performing at the Jamestown Mercantile, located at 108 Main Street in Jamestown, on Thursday, July 3rd, starting at 7 p.m.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.